This is GATE BM revision, GATE Biomedical Essentials. This is part of the series of simplified revision. I have already put up many videos. Already all the core subjects are all covered with that. So that should be up. So this is part of that series. So what you're doing is to discuss PVQs. Idea is you get what they typically ask. The 20% of questions where or concepts where 80% of questions are concentrated. You get a very good idea of that. And we are going to look at 4 years of PYQs 2020 to 2023. Because of this, we also get reasonable sampling of the PYQs. We kind of get easy versions, medium versions, hard versions, and all that. So, bare minimal theory you need for that, along with tips, tricks, and modifications and complications. All of that will be discussed here. And I have 4 years of aptitude questions. That is 10 questions per year, 40 questions. So we'll have to do this in two parts. I'll do this part one and two. What I'm going to do today is part one. If you look at the syllabus, we have this basic English grammar. Typically, they claim this is a hit or miss. That is, if you are fluent in English, if your spoken English is specifically good, then it's easy to score on this. But even otherwise, there are many simple tricks that you could use to actually do better in this section. I'll discuss many of those tricks today. Then we have quantitative, analytical, and spatial. Instead of actually looking over the categories given in the syllabus like this, let's look at the sequence of clustered questions from, proceeding and increasing levels of difficulty. In that way, we can learn basics, concepts, and then build things on top of each other. Let's start doing that. So, few other common questions we solved in diagnostics and assignments teach us a lot more than watching any video. Fine. Yeah, this material is not available elsewhere. See, verbal aptitude, and they typically say this is a hit or miss, cat on the wall case. But elimination, verifications. Actually, verification, a sort of verification is possible here. Elimination, incorrect answer, obviously, of course, many of you are going to rule out and then increase your chances, the expected marks. And after elimination, certainly eliminating incorrect answers, if you randomly guess, your chances of getting marks is actually positive. You do that. But it's also, elimination is possible. There are ways to verify, some interesting ways to verify. I'll give you some tips on that. First is Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna Award was conferred Dash Mary Kom, 6-time world champion in boxing, recently in ceremony. I suppose all of you are reasonably prepared. You know the answer key or something like that. You have tried this question, something like that. So this is conferred is preceded by on. That word pair is conventional. And ceremony at the Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. Because there is this in, I'm going to put at there. There aren't a lot of tricks here, but still I can give you some pointers. One is, so the answer here I suppose is on it. Yeah, C. The answer is C. There are many word pair combinations. Comfort precedes on. But most of them are trivial. There's handful of things like confer, is it confer with or confer on? There are like a handful of things that is somewhat confusing. I will add that list, when I post process this video. That is one thing. And that add in is fairly, straightforward. I'm not going to deep dive into that. But the pairs that are tricky, the trivial pairs, most of you know. Non-trivial pairs, I will try to add this here. Non-trivial pairs. They are a handful. So add this during post. Let's go to the next question. Despite a string of poor performances, the chances of KL Rahul's selection in the team are. I don't know whether this is made in 2020 or no 2024. Seems like a sentence that fits very well. So, a couple of things. Of course, most of you know that if you have any prior knowledge, the comment that I just made, you should keep that aside. The question, the options. That is what you're supposed to answer things. So any prior knowledge on this reading comprehension, filling in the blanks, verbal aptitude, supposed to be thrown out. I cannot throw this out. So prior knowledge and all that. Hey, KL Rahul, I am a fan of KL Rahul. How dare they mention like this? Hey, no, no, no. This is like out of context for the examination for this specific question. So keep all of that aside. What you're supposed to look here is fairly straightforward. Despite a string of, so in fact, the key word here is this: despite. Respective of, in spite of, despite a string of poor performances. Despite tells you what you're supposed to look for. Despite a string of poor performances, somehow is still there in the team. Despite poor performances, he is there. His chances are slim? No. You are looking for something where the chances are favorable. It's not slim. Chances are obvious. Chances are uncertain. Why not obvious and uncertain at this stage? Despite poor performances, despite says it's opposite of poor performance expectation. So chances are high, chances are fine. But despite a string of poor performances, chances of KL Rahul selection in the team are obvious or uncertain. Why not obvious and uncertain? Quickly. So we are looking for, of course, at this stage, we are looking for something that contradicts the expectation of poor performance. Obvious could be obviously bright, obviously slim. Both are possible with the obvious. Obvious is, obvious includes both the cases. So we, of course, rule that out. Obviously slim. Uncertainly slim. Again, that's not the word that we are expecting. Yeah, there can be an obvious positive and negative outcome, uncertain positive and negative outcome. But despite says there is a there is a positive outcome. Despite poor performances, there is a positive outcome. Let's not overanalyze. 1 mark verbal aptitude questions. Select the word that fits the analogy. Cover and cover. Associate, analogously, unassociate. So 4 options are unassociate, inassociate, misassociate, disassociate. Yeah, anyone with any feeble memory of chemistry, biomedical engineers, feeble memory of biomaterials, there is a dissociation constant. There is no unassociation constant, inassociation constant, misassociation constant. So here is one important tip for verbal aptitude. Note as I mentioned this thing about familiarity. BM engineers or high school students are familiar about chemistry, dissociation constant, chemical kinetics. Somewhere they have read it. Whether they can recall or remember it, no. Despite that, a part of their memory, typically subconscious, unconscious, part of their memory, not unconscious, still remembers that or is familiar with that. For that reason, a good rule of thumb for many verbal aptitude questions is say it allowed. Of course, at this stage, the examiner will be like, you'll run into problems with the examiner. So save it allowed mentally. That is, you can close your eyes, you can close your mouth and try to say it. When you do that, the incorrect ones, the non-familiar ones will obviously stand out. And I say that misassociate my initially my mouth was like kind of having a problem. It kind of sensed it. It didn't, there is some issue with it. There is this inner sense. This is a, there is spider sense, Spider-Man spider sense. Analogous to that, there is this. How should we put this? This is this mind voice sense, which should be activated as a rule of thumb. Sir, I was trying to activate my mind voice for 3 hours. No, as a rule of thumb, you can activate your mind voice, say it out mentally. You can actually certainly pick out incorrect ones. You're so unfamiliar with them that it sounds good. In fact, here I could misassociate. See, misassociate something. I can at least rule out some nonsensical things. But the answer here is D. Sounds good. So, if I say, spider sense, you tend to remember it better. We know the Spider-Man movie. We know this Endgame. No, movie before that. What is it? Movie Endgame before that. Uh, Infinity War. There, the Spider-Man hair and all that is growing. I don't know if you have time to find the B-roll and all that, but description should suffice. Spider sense should be kind of activated. Let's move on to the next one. I cannot support this proposal. My conscience will not permit. My consensus will not permit. Yeah, do I contradict myself? Huh? Why not? I know I am large, I am multitude. So my consensus will not permit. My conscience will not permit it. My consent will not permit it. When I said it, I have the room to say it aloud. I kind of quickly recognized consent doesn't fit, consensus doesn't fit. My conscious, I said it, I know it's incorrect. My conscience, that's correct. Notice this is one question I just answered with the spider sense or this mind voice power that I just mentioned. You can quickly test it. Great. Let's go to the next one. Quotes dash. We have seen this in mathematics, I suppose. Is to and all that ratio proportion. What is this? Oh, word pair analogy. Quotes, quotes or quotes dash analogously parliament legislature. Quotes dash parliament legislature. Quickly, how do we answer this? So the tip here, the best way to find the analogy is to form simple and complete sentence with the full pair. Form simple and complete. This and is very important. Sentence has to be simple. Sentence has to be complete. Form a simple and complete sentence with the full pair that you have. Parliament, legislature is passed in a parliament. Judiciary is passed in a court, something like that. Passed may not be the apt word, but I kind of formed a very simple sentence that is complete. Executive, where Executive is paused in a quotes. Doesn't make sense. That spider sense just got activated. Momental is paused in quotes. The subject, verb, object, all of this kind of like getting all this acrophobia, arachnophobia, all of that is getting activated. Legal is getting paused in quotes. See, notice, actually, I'm not using the best sentence available. Legislature is passed in parliament. Past may not be the best word to describe that analogy, but that simple and complete sentence is quickly telling me no, no, no. It's courts has to do with judiciary. Parliament has to do with legislature. Parliament has to do with legislature. Courts have to do with executive. Or executive what? Executive decision. Right. So in fact, um, I am making heavy extensive use of this mind voice. I'm trying to make it audible. Say I put all these videos in English. I spent a decade in US. And before I went to US, I couldn't fluently speak in English. My mother tongue is something else. And English, I couldn't speak. I couldn't actually form complete sentences. That's my background in English. Now, this is where I am. But wherever you are, this mind sense is the most powerful friend that you have as far as this verbal aptitude is concerned. Don't worry about complications, any of that. Don't bother about any insecurities about, not able to speak English. I am weak in English. My grammar is weak. Doesn't matter. All of us are actually used to this correct grammar and correct sentence structure, appropriate words. We are used to it since childhood. Whether we like English or not, it has been a part of our life. Activated. Fine. Let's move on. Fair is too high for it to be considered fair. Fair, fair, fair. Same phone, homophone. These are similar sounding words. I suppose they go by the name homophone, not phonia or something like that. Homophone. Maybe I suppose it has some other names also. Similar sounding words. Homophone, homophonia. So some of you are already answering, sir. This is the fare is too high for it to be considered fair. Which fare? ABCD fare, of course. At this stage, I ruled it out. This is not my inner voice. This is actually my eyesight ruled it out. Fair. I haven't seen that fair in my life ever. I have seen FAIR fair. I have seen FARE fair. I haven't seen FAER fair. Something like this eyesight kind of ruled it out. Which brings me to this point. It's also hard to give tips here, but I'll give you one. If you're trying to remember, if you're trying to use mnemonics, use mnemonics based on that letters that differentiate the words. What I mean by that? FARE, FAIR. Fair, fairy, aya. This is like a jolly mood. Fair, things are fair. I am fair. And the opposite character there is this is air, this is array. How many of you have argued with a auto rickshaw wala about a fare? Array yaar, this is it. So notice I'm picking letters that are distinct. I'm not making mnemonics based on the sound. I'm picking characters or letters that change, and I'm trying to make mnemonics. Next time, because this is very confusing. This is just convention. You're kind of clogging your memory with a FARE fare is this fare that I pay. FAAR fare is this thing. This is like stupid thing that we have to do. Unfortunately, trick is mnemonize it. Mnemonize it, not lemonize it. Form a mnemonic and use characters. I stated many, so yeah, I'm not going to write all of them. I am fair. So yeah, and blush and all that. It looks like tears. Fine, we'll stop there. Let's move on. Arun and Appalam, Arun and Aparna are here. Arun and Aparna is here. Arun's is here. Arun's family is here. Actually, my spider sense got activated quite a bit, but what is the answer here? Arun's family. Sir, this Arun has multiple families. Let's look at the typical scenario. Sir, Arun ice cream family. So Arun's family, typically this is singular. Person has one family. All the world, all, this is all Indians are my brothers and sisters. There is one family, one world, one family. Family is singular. Is here. Arun and Aparna. Plural. There itself, this is kind of like, you know, is just quickly turning on red light. So this is Arun and Aparna, two people plural, you use R. So this is 1 and 4. So I explained it using some spidey sense. Also singular plural, I suppose, is or is a basic thing. And same thing, when do you use A, I, O, U? This is like A and the. This is a very common question. You could also, look at the most typical cases. Don't clog your memory with everything. Yeah, I will go take Ren and Martin. I will memorize everything. Typical cases, when should you use A, when should you use an, and when should you use the. Make sure you know that. Fine. Now there is some reading comprehension. As soon as I saw that, where I was looking at is, I didn't get clogged down by the entire text. No. What are they asking, first of all? This is one place where it actually pays to read the, look at the climax. There is no suspense and all that. You want to know the climax. This is one place, unlike watching movies. What can be inferred from the given passage? There can be 100 things, 1,000 things that can be inferred here. But what is this question bothered with? Officials declare that food grain production target will be met due to good rains. Efficient on the food is about efficiency and the food grain target. And at this stage, I also caught something. Officials declared, officials want, officials feel, officials hope. They are, in fact, at this stage, I know. I'm doing this in real time. At this time, I know that 90%, 95%, it has to do with what the officials are acting. That verb there, that is the point of interest. Many of the details here, if there are like ambiguous words, similar actions here, I would at that stage, of course, I would try to clarify that based on some of the other information here. But at this stage, is it declaration by the officials? Let's open the Blackgate prison. Is that the case? Do they want it? Do they feel it? Do they hope it? And hey, we should give this sense to our eyes, man. Laser sense. No, laser sense. Superman eyes. Spider-Man. Spider-Man skin. Superman eyes. Eagle eyes, actually. Superman also laser eyes. Eagle eyes. You should activate this sense. How do you walk? Take this foot to this foot. Gait analysis is a complicated thing. I wanted to actually put up a simple video on this sequence of gait analysis. I'll do that. But notice gait analysis, if you try to take your left foot and all that, it's a very complicated thing. We kind of do it by default. Here, this eagle sense, it's easy to activate it. Trying to look for these 4 words in the text. Quickly, I found that word. They are hopeful that the good rain, so and so, so and so. The eagle license. Is it a systematic way to activate it? No, just like walking, it cannot like systematically activate it. Just like uh, if you look for it, automatically, that shows up. So at this stage, I am answering this. I know there are many red lights and sir, you haven't read the text, you haven't read the question, you haven't read the answer and all that. I know there are many red lights and red flags. Sorry, not red lights, red flags at this stage. But if I have time again, which typically that is the case, that is at the end of the examination, I can revisit the question. At best, I can mark this or revisit, come back and look at it later. Just for your satisfaction, if you want to read that and make sure officials hope that it will be good, target will be met due to good rabbi produce, rabbi karifer, rabbi believe that my second eagle eye activation officials believe, hope, rabbi crops so that country can achieve. I just confirmed it also. Fine, let's move on. For now, the following options can be inferred from the given passage alone. When I was a kid, when I was in America, I was partial to stories about other worlds and interplanetary travels. I used to imagine that I could just gaze off into space and be whisked to another planet. When I was a kid, is of course about talking about past. This actually reminds me of a one-liner. I'm trying to make it appropriate. Fine. I used to copy in the examination. I still do, but I used to too, right? So there is a sort of issue going on there. But when I was a kid, probably the person now is an adult. It's no more a kid. Again, let's not think of extremely bizarre, non-trivial situations. Benjamin Button or what button? Growing the other way around and all that. No exceptions. Extraordinary life of Benjamin Button, I suppose. Let's not think of fictional, extreme, non-typical, non-trivial scenarios. So this means adult is talking about the kid. Where is adult? Child description of no child is not child. It's adult's memory. My eagle eyes, spiders ones didn't fall for any of this partial story. There is this part, this only in parts and all that. No. Adult is talking about his past, his memory, what he or she liked as a child. I didn't answer that. Sometimes this happens. You find out the answer, go to the next question. You should actually answer. Did I answer what they are asking? True or they are not asking for the opposite. And just good idea to make sure that you check it and answer. Fine. Repo rate is the rate at which RBI lends commercial banks. Reverse repo rate is the rate at which RBI borrows money from commercial banks. Which of the following statements can be inferred? Decrease in repo rate, increasing repo rate. This side, decrease lending by commercial banks, cost of borrowing and lending. RBI central bank is a bit confusing. If my friend is giving me at lower interest, at no interest, no payback expectation, I would be happy to get it. A decrease in repo rate will decrease cost of borrowing. I will borrow more. If I borrow more, of course, I am from this Karnan fanfare fan club. So increase lending, I would be happy to give it to other friends or spend it on other friends. I suppose a decrease in repo rate will decrease cost of borrowing and increase lending by commercial banks. I did it quite fast. Just correct me if you are, I'll wait. If you're still reading it, correct me if that is the case. Yeah, at this stage, some of you might notice, how do you put it? Some of you might notice non-typical way of answering these questions. Hey, no, this is what my teacher taught me. This is what I typically do in the examination. But the way that I am answering these questions are actually very simple. It works for the majority. It doesn't work for the minority, prepared minority. It works for the unprepared majority, unprepared like me of sorts. So why not B? Increase in repo rate. If you increase, my friend is like tells me I have to pay back, I will not get it from him. Right? Increase in decrease cost of borrowing. It will. If my friend tells me it's going to cost you, I will not borrow. Repo rate is a rate at which my friend is giving me interest at which. So if that rate is, if the cost is less, I will borrow more. Cost is high, I will borrow less. Agreed? Can we move on? Or is a B, I made a mistake here. Let's do this slowly. If you decrease repo rate, cost of borrowing decreases, cost decreases, and then banks borrow more. You have more money, you're going to spend it on your friends. Lending increases. Yeah, I'll stick to that. Okay, fine. I also answered it properly this time. Some people believe that what gets me, which one of the following is a correct logical inference? Metrics are useful in organization of poor culture. Metrics are useful to work culture. At this stage, I'm actually not reading metrics. I'm like keeping gate scores and like people who game it. What gets measured gets gamed. Some people prepare and kind of bias their score, increase their scores. One possible reason for the difference of beliefs is a work culture in organization. Organizations with good work culture, good student, all students are good. No shortcuts, no weightage, no mnemonics, nothing. Work hard, no smart students. Metrics help improve outcomes. However, the same metrics are counterproductive in our organizations with poor work culture. Fine. So metrics work if the majority is good. If the work culture is poor, Metrics don't work. People find a way to get metrics are useful in organizations. Good work culture. Yeah, they are useful. Metrics are always counterproductive. At this stage, there are some red flags to rule out, eliminate options. Always people go from young to old. People grow old. Always. No, fictionally, people grow younger. Doctor Strange can change the time this way, that way, make an ample appear, disappear. So those extreme words are always, problematic. Red flag for that option. Unless they are asking you for incorrect option, they are likely to be not the correct answer. Rule it out. Metrics are never rule it out. Metrics are useful in organizations with poor. Metrics are useful in organization good work culture. B. Yeah, unconventional methods, which is what I was trying to grasp. Not necessarily conventional, studious, orthodox means to answer these questions, but these unconventional methods effective, they work, and it works for a majority, unlike the conventional methods that work for the minority. Has this been tested? Yes. Has it been tested by me? Yes. Has it been tested by my students? Yes. Let's move on. Author said, above passage, which one of the following is true? At this stage, my heart rate slightly increased, tried to increase, but I kind of pulled it back. Calm down, because I know this true. What is certainly correct? What is necessarily false? They are somewhat problematic. These unconventional methods don't necessarily work there. They have to be very systematic with logical questions. For that reason, I typically do these questions at the end of the examination. Second, where I am done with all the simple, easy questions, which is like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I am done with the paper. I have like 2.5 hours, 2 hours, something like that. I am doing all these questions then. But let's look at it. Author is of the opinion that rehearsing is of important for musicians, actors, public speaker. Author is of rehearsing is less important for public speakers. These are typically politically correct, politically, grammatically. Um, I think politically correct. You can state this. Correct options are correct. You can put that in a newspaper, sort of. So they are not biased. The moment you're looking at biasings, oh, but this is author's opinion. Author's opinion can be biased. We have to be a little more careful. So, what is he thinking about rehearsing with respect to musicians, actors, and public speakers? This is someone's opinion. That person can be biased. Because of that, their opinion can be biased. So, again, this is one place where you want to put all the prior knowledge and all that aside. The author, what is he authoring? Musicians rehearse before their concert. Actors rehearse their role before opening day of a play. Other hand, I find it strange that teachers think they can just walk into the class and start teaching. In my opinion, it's no less important for public speakers to rehearse their talks. How dare they do it? No, no, no. So what he's trying to say is that it's equally important for everyone. Musicians, actors, public speaker, teachers. Fine. Yeah. Is it less important for publics? No, he doesn't say that. Rehearsing is more important only for musicians and public speakers. Yeah. And also the way that I read it, I kind of exaggerated the opinion, so it was easier for me to spot the answer. Which is was what I was trying to do when I said teachers. When it's like public speakers, that exaggeration or association could could kind of amplify the opinion with a positive gain, and it kind of stands out among the options. Author is of the opinion real is more important than answer. No, no, no. Fine. He answered it. Opinion. Be careful. That's my opinion. Sir, you should look at the way that I race. I drive my motorcycle. Then you would say how careful I am. Fine. It's opinion, so read it carefully. Logically follows. No, our heart rate is still under control. Football players play cricket. All cricket players play hockey. Hockey, hockey, talkie. No football player, some football player, or football. How do you simplify this? Again, truth, logic, all, never, extreme, not necessarily false. These are problematic and they have to be dealt accordingly. Diagram. Yeah, the simplest case in this case, you see, language is like uh, is not the efficient means to, not necessarily the efficient means to trudge through language because you cannot keep all those things in our memory. Parse it, look at it, make sense of this. You are complicating your brain circuitry, information processing in your brain circuitry. Simplest thing, make it visual. So the text is like the circuitry involved in processing that is quite complex. Let's avoid that. Visualize it. Venn diagrams. Football players play cricket. Some of them play cricket. So I have football, cricket. This is statement one. Statement two, add some colors. Rangade Pasanti. Where is this? I typically don't add colors. If there is a necessity, I kind of add. If there is some ambiguity, uncertainty, that's I typically add. But this is more up. No, this is more sensorily more stimulating for the viewer. Add some colors. Statement two: all cricket players play hockey. Kind of my color kind of became a necessary. I'll have to draw that over there. All cricket players play hockey. Cricket players are constrained in this hockey. That is my statement two. Among the options given, the statement logically follows from the two statements one and two. So it has to follow from both one and two. So I kind of gave it together. Fine. No football player plays hockey. No, 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 no. This football player is intersecting with hockey. That reason. Out. Some football players play hockey. Some football players play hockey. Yeah. One thing you have to be careful is whatever the correct statement has to be true in any case. But this is like some football players happy, I think, are happy. Sorry, play hockey. Kind of like this is fine. No complication here. All football players play hockey. No. All hockey players play football. No. Not necessarily because of that extreme scenario, but it doesn't match the Venn diagram. I'm being very careful here. So yeah, answer is here. And there isn't any other ambiguities, uncertainties, possibilities, plausibilities, complications. No other cases. So at this stage, you can go ahead and answer. Fine. Our heart rate actually decreased. We brought it under control. It also kind of decreased. So breathing is one way to control it. Are there other ways to control your heart rate? Right? I have to take a deep breath. Given below are four statements. Statement one: all students are inquisitive. Some students are inquisitive. No student is inquisitive. Some students are not inquisitive. Sir, That day I forgot the meaning of word inquisitive. I didn't see what the meaning of word inquisitive is. I wanted to look at, for some reason, examination day morning, I wanted to open the dictionary, open this I page, inquisitive page, I wanted to see its meaning. But I forgot to do it. What do I do? The meaning is immaterial. Let's draw the four cases. Statement one, let's do S1, S2, S3. Let's put some smile on this face where, and S4. So the four students inquisitive, student, whatever is this inquisitive is, student inquisitive, student, and that inquisitive. Let's draw quickly. Draw all the students one. Student, student, student. Statement two. Some students are inquisitive. Some students are inquisitive. No student is inquisitive. Inquisitive is here. Students are there. Some students are not inquisitive. Some students are not inquisitive. Fine. Which of the four statements cannot be true simultaneously? 3 and S4, there is sorry. Yeah, yes, 2 and S4, there is an intersection. S1 and S3. This this cannot be true simultaneously. Sir, have you seen Inside Out movie? I just did a course on quantum mechanics. Cat can be both dead and alive at the same time in a multiple universe. Until we have observed it, both the possibility exist. In my universe, I observed statement 3. Yeah, the examiner committee's universe, there is statement 1. So we have all these complications. But um, find the two statements that cannot be true simultaneously. Let's not worry about extreme, fictional, non-fictional, scientific, right? Spiritual complications. Let's make it simple. Typically, 1 and 3, I think, no, that doesn't go hand in hand. This logically inferred with certainty. Should we go? This is logically inferred. No, no, no. There is, I see numbers. There is some shore. We are treading to somewhere in the middle. The shore is nearby. We can like swim and reach there. Based on only information provided, which of the following options can be logically inferred with certainty? Forest land is a planet inhabited by different kinds of creatures. Among other creatures, is populated by animals, all of whom are ferocious. There are also creatures that have claws and some that do not have. All creatures that have claws are ferocious. All creatures with claws are. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Answer this. Language won't help you. Venn diagram, visualize it. Visualizing might be complicated, but fine. It's a known evil, or it's a handleable, dealable evil. Unlike unlike language, words, grammar, text, ChatGPT, forest land. Actually, what follows kind of be reasonable. Forest land, kinda inhabited by creatures. Kinda inhabited by creatures. Among other creatures, it is populated by animals, all of whom are ferocious. There are creatures. Among other creatures, it is populated by animals. Among other creatures. It is populated by animals. You could draw it this way. You could draw it this way. Whatever the true statement has to be true in all the multiverses. I'm going to draw it this way. See, the true statement holds good. The incorrect statements will get ruled out. If if there are more than two statements still remaining, two options still standing, then I will consider ruling things out in the multiverses. No multiverse at all. No animals. This all of whom are ferocious. All animals are ferocious. Also, creatures that have claws, creatures that and some that do not. Again, I am going to pick one universe. See, this is a what? Somehow class. L. All creatures with claws are animals. I already found a counter example. I ruled it out. Some creatures with claws are non-ferocious. That is a possibility. Some non-ferocious creatures have claws. I am getting into this multiverse of madness. Some ferocious creatures or creatures with claws. We'll have to revamp our universe. Some ferocious creatures or creatures with claws. Is also technically fine. And by this time, some of you are saying option D. What is wrong with option B? Yeah, I drew the statement incorrectly, which is where I am. I'm in the void. All creatures that have claws are ferocious. I didn't draw it correctly. Claw is a proper subset of ferocious. Let's draw it here. Some creatures with claws are non-ferocious. Rolled out. Some non-ferocious creatures have claws. Rolled out. So we got back from the void. Great. I sense some danger. But again, visualizing things, you can get it. And I knew this is like an MCQ. MCQ. It's not shaded here, but even otherwise, which one of the options? Only one option is correct. The moment I got like three green ticks, I knew there is issue with the story. That is why I changed, and I quickly found out the issue. I was quite fortunate in this case. Anyways, end of the examination, I have 10-15 minutes to do it. But anyways, we did it in a span of minutes, I suppose. Yeah. So one of you pointed that mistake also. All creatures have claws or ferocious. That was done incorrectly. Let's let's get to the shoreman. Jaws, sharks and all will fight later. That logic, fine. In a recently conducted national entrance test, boys constituted 65% of who appeared for the test. Girls constituted remaining candidates, and they accounted for 60% of qualified candidates. Which of the following is the correct logical inference based equal number of boys, girls, equal number of boys appeared for the test, so and so. So one tip, actually, I'll make one video on all examination tips. But one tip right now, before you start, glimpse through the entire paper. Your subconscious, unconscious mind kind of gets familiar with the paper. It's better prepared to answer it. In this case, I was quickly glimpsing through the question that quickly reminded me of that. But let's get back here 65%. Put number, let's make it concrete. This is 100. 65B, 5G, 35 girls. Girls constitute the remaining constituent and they accounted for 60% of the qualified uh, candidates. Whatever the qualified candidates is, 0.6 of them as girls. Whatever is a qualified candidate is, 0.4 of them as boys. What is Q? Which of the following is correct logical and equal number of qualified and unqualified people? This is not equal. At this stage, I can actually say this is less than. That's kind of emphasize that. This is less than 0.4 Q is 0.6 Q. This is incorrect. Equal number of boys and girls appeared for the test. 65 equals 35. Normal decimal base 10, I suppose. No, they are not equal. Number of boys who appeared for the test is less than the number of girls who appeared for the test. Thank you. Number of boys who qualified in the test is less than the number of girls who qualified in the test. Yes. I didn't find Q. I don't know if there is information to find Q, but we can answer this. Perhaps this is one video that I should consider uploading it on real time. At least the moment I start a question and answer it, I'll try to make it real time. So that the sense of, but no, if you're doing a problem or question along with me, and if you're taking the suggestions I am giving you, you have the time to follow through. So in a class of 100 students, there are 30 students. Romantic movies. How many students in the class like romantic movies? There are 30 students who neither like romantic movies or comedy movies. That is a class. 30 students are romantic. Hey, I'm like drawing as if I have read the question. As I am like a drawing, if any detail doesn't fit, hey, there is like romantic movie class, there is a studio, there is a stadium and all that. I'll change the drawing. So there is a romantic movie, and there is comedy movie. Number of students who like romantic movies is twice the number of students who like comedy movies. Number of students who like both romantic comedy movies is 20. How many students in the class like romantic movies? I was looking for option 100. Like suddenly, like, how many of the students in the class like romance? Right? 100. No, this is like romantic movies. At this stage, exaggerating that hyperbole further, is it 60? I know this is totally nonsensical, but question mark. Um, I know that. Or Union Co. That this area. In fact, I can have it that way. That is 30. That outside area, and the number of students who like this R is Let me also not bother to write this. Then I have, if this is R, this is 2R, R by 2. This is R by 2. Of course, is a number that is R by 2. I'm making a note of that here. Number of students who like both romantic movies and comedy movies. There is also this bit given here, that is 20. I'm kind of careful how I rate those information. You need to use a method that works well for you, error proof method. How many students in the class like romantic movies? Fine. If I add R plus R by 2, if I remove that intersection, if I add the outer section, I don't know, outer section, that is 100. Can we quickly solve for R? By 2 R as 3R by 2 as 90. R as 180 by 360. Majority likes romantic movies. If not most, like, if not most or romantic, majority likes romantic movies. That was a hunch. Turned out to be correct here. And to be reasonably safe, I put that question mark, happened to be correct. Out of 1,000 individuals in that town, which town has 1,000 individuals? Out of that town, 100 unidentified individuals are COVID positive due to lack of adequate COVID testing kits. Healthy authorities of the town devised a strategy to identify these COVID positive individuals. Strategy is to collect saliva samples from given the strategy, no more than dash testing kits. There is a strategy, there is a system in place. How many testing kits will be required to identify all the COVID positive individuals, irrespective of how they are grouped? Let's go by the strategy. Collect 1,000 individuals, 1,000 I. Group them into group sets of 5. This kind of become 200. 200 sets. Mix the samples within each set. Test the mixed sample for COVID. So at this stage, you do 200 tests. The test gives a negative result, then declare all 5 individuals to be COVID negative. The test done is positive result. Then do group testing again. Huh? No, no, no. Then all the 5 individuals are separately tested. This is no more than, in other words, somewhat think of the worst case scenario while doing this testing. So, worst case scenario, this is like 100 positive, 100 negative. Positive sets, 100 negative sets. You don't do group testing again. So, negative sets at this stage, you can kind of rule it out. Don't worry about it. 100 positive sets, there are 500 people, but you're not group testing again. Might be optimized, I don't know, but your given strategy, you do test all of them, people in each set individually. You do 500 tests. It's a nice question, sort of based on group testing. World War III soldiers, some of them had STDs, IST, STD. And this was a very small group. And the army had a wanted to, already there is this like they are running out of reserves. This is war time. Hey, not World War III, World War II. Sorry, World War III is not out there. So they wanted to identify those soldiers with STDs. They were very rare, and this group testing was kind of devised. That strategy was devised back then. So all in all, no more than 200 tests in the worst case scenario. In the no more than worst case scenario, and the worst case scenario, I did it here. Worst case, 100% is there in the 100 different sets. Slightly better case, all five of them in one set, all five of them in 20 tests, all five of them are there. 80 tests, like turn 180 tests turn negative. Doesn't happen. Yeah, I put that information over here. So our answer is 700. So one thing is, yeah, there is all this the extraneous things that I am doing other than answering the question. You might be wondering about the speed and all that. You have done 20 questions or something like that now. So if you remove all these extraneous things, we should be doing these things in a reasonable amount of time. Plus, on the examination day, nature surprisingly finds a flash boost. All of us are solving problems faster than we typically do and better than we typically do. Only on the examination day, this thing shows up. Okay. There are some physiological hormonal changes that make you a super student or a super solver, super problem solver on the examination day. So if you are typically having time management issues, coffee and all that, this is only like 2%, 5% improvement. Your nature, biology, physiology, that will give you a 100%, 200% boost on the examination day. Many students confuse it for anxiety. No, no, no. That is nature's gift present. Nature's blessing. Your parents are saying all the best. Your friends are all saying all the best, right? Nature's blessing is that additional boost, problem solving boost. It's not anxiety. So make use of that. To solve this question, let's move on. On a planar field, you traveled 3 units. Distance point O. This is this. Putting things in a map. Let's draw a map. By that, we are going to draw north, south, east, west. This is that north. So we have north, south, east, west. We have a map. You travel 3 units east, starting from point O. You have point O. You travel 3 units. That is the color that is there. You travel 3 units east of point O. Next, you travel 4 units south to arrive at point P. This is P. So this is 3. This is 4. Then you travel from P in the northeast direction such that you arrive at a point that is 6 units east of point O. 6 units east of point O is technically any point in this line. That is 6 units east of point O. But what happens at what is this, North Pole, South Pole? No, let's not worry about it. Any line, but he's going northeast. This is one typical complication that arises when they describe this. But let's say he just ends up, this is 3. Time I read it, I was confused. This is not the first time I reading it. So 3 plus 3 is 6. Is here. Next, you traveled in the northwest direction so that you arrive at point Q, that is 8 units north of point P. Again, north of point P is this, but 8 units again. I already regularized it. Regularized the direction. It's not 45 degree. It's slightly. You're ending up at this, horizontal vertical lines that we have. So this is 4. 8 of north, I know it is ending up at there. So that this is 4. 4 and 4 make 8. Distance from point O to point Q. You end up at Q? Yeah, you arrive at Q. This is point Q. I had already regularized all these triangles. I know this is 3, 4, 5. Square root of 3 square plus 4 square. That is fine. Profit shares of two companies, P and Q, are shown in the figure. If the companies have invested a fixed amount, an equal amount every year, or ratio of total revenue, data interpretation. So far, we have been doing interpretation. Text is a kind of data. So we have been doing data interpretation. Then there are some questions where we do figure interpretation. Figure is a kind of data. So data interpretation. I don't try to separate it. So information is provided in text format. This figure format, sometimes in table format. Information is provided, you are answering. So ratio of total revenue of the company P to the total revenue of company Q during this. Ratio of total revenue. What is given is profit percentage. At this time, the student who didn't take economics as a minor, his heart rate is kind of shooting up. Sorry. Yeah. Who didn't take economics as a minor? He ended up taking Indian philosophy as a minor, socialism as a minor, something like that. So, what is profit percentage? You need to know a couple of things. So, profit percentage is one of them. If possible, there is profit margin, profit percentage. One is with respect to cost price, another is with respect to selling price. In this case, the profit percentage, by definition, this is profit by cost price into 100, of course. It's not with respect to selling price. It's with respect to cost price. And what is given is this percentage. So let's make it simple. 100 out of 100, this is 10 and all that. If you know the cost price and profit, you know the revenue. See, people, all of them are in profit. There is no loss and all that. All of them are in profit. All profits. On the ratio of revenues. So if the cost price is 100, uniformly 100 for everyone, the profit percentages are fairly easy. It's the number shown here. If the cost price is 100, because 10 percentage of 100, that is 10, 20 percentage of 100, that is 20. So we can easily write the ratio of revenue of P to Q. P is this. So that ratio that we want is 10. Do we color differentiate? Yeah, let's color differentiate. I'm going to write all this first. $110 plus $120 plus $140 into 2. So plus $140, fine. Plus $150 plus $140. And do this in a gate calculator. Yeah, that also will do. Then I'm going to do all this. That is 120 plus 130 plus 130 plus 150 plus 160 plus 160. 160. Right? into 160. Can you find this ratio? Technically, you can forget all the zeros. I ran out of space because I was running all this. Seventeen, 15. Which number is higher? I think denominator is higher. Someone is saying this is B. Difference of 15 and 17. Fine. I'm going to leave it at B. Distance between Delhi and Agra. QRST seated on a circular round table. Multiverse of madness. So, whenever there is this questions like the seating arrangement and all that, especially that you cannot enumerate or permutate or combinate something like this. Hey, this person is sitting there, that person got married to this person. Wanda is a good mother in this universe. Wanda has no children. There is a combinatorial explosion. Because of that, just to list out all the cases, sometimes it takes a lot of time. Typically, do these problems towards the end. And speaking of Doctor Strange and the multiverse of madness, we should also talk about the actor Benedict Cumberbatch, who acted in Imitation Game. Today, I asked in class, how many of you have seen Imitation Game? How many of you know Alan Turing? Unfortunately, none of them knew Alan Turing. Whenever there is this combinatorial explosion, whenever you're trying to crack this German codes, we should first constrain the solution. Or, in fact, notice I have been using this word regularize, regularize, regularize. You should make sure the solution is findable. So, picking the correct constraint is becomes extremely important. I'll do that. Perhaps we'll have to do this question in the next week. Let's do this one quantitative aptitude question for today, and we will wind up. How many questions are we left with? Roughly half the questions. Let's quickly zoom through this. Seated in a row. Midpoint of a sides of a triangle. Matrix Mij, identical cube, probability, probability, probability. Smallest number, the distinct digits adds up to 45. Some graphs. Operator. Role play. Plus is not, plus is minus, minus is plus. What happens? Equilateral triangle. Get surprise question. I suppose this is a LCM. I have put up a video on this, so I kind of remember that. So fine. LCM. Roots of algebraic equation. Hey, this term is zero. There are many zeros in the product. Remove zeros and you'll get a simple answer. Summation. Can we count this like Gauss? Dead. Visual information. Mirror images, radar, palindrome. Fine. So many of the questions are fairly easy. We can do this at the second sitting. Rectangles are present in the givens. We count rectangles, count this. Spatial aptitude questions towards the end. We can easily finish this. Let me do one more question and we'll wind up. So students don't trust me when I say I can skim the paper in 3-4 minutes, if not 2 minutes. I don't know. I should actually look at the recording and see how long it took to skim this. There are roughly 20 questions, no? Distance between Delhi and Agra is 233 kilometers. Let's sketch it. Agra. Sir, are you considering Manhattan distance? There is no Manhattan distance in India. This is Delhi Agra distance. Delhi NCR. We'll draw a straight line. Sir, Earth is not flat. Curvature. No, no, I'm not a flattest conspiracy and all that. Distance is that. Simplify it. Even if you don't consider all this multiverses, this language is so ambiguous. You have Delhi, you have Agra. Car P started traveling from Delhi towards Agra. Another car started traveling from Agra, not surprisingly, towards Delhi. Same road, the same road. So this distance ISOs is a road-based distance. Let's put it 233 kilometers. Both along the same road, 1 hour after the car P started. The two cars crossed each other 75 minutes after car Q started. So the two cars meet. It started earlier. It's kind of started late. Of course, the speed matters. Car P is 10% more faster, so it has traveled for the distance. Fine. Anyway, so this is the time that it takes. It has taken. This is one initial head start, 75-minute common time. That is 75 minutes is 1 hour plus 75, 76. 75 minutes is 1.25 hours in hours. Consistent units. Q has been traveling for 1.25. Distance, speed, distance, time. Speed, car P is 10 kilometer more than the speed of car Q. This is speed of car Q is V. This is 10 plus V. 10%, 10 kilometer, 10 plus V. How many kilometers the car has traveled how many kilometers car Q has traveled when they cross each other? Till here, so they are asking you for what is this distance in the figure, a visual representation of that question. Fine. V is the only unknown variable. I quickly saw that in the figure. What is the unknown? Velocity is the only unknown. Once you know that, you know everything about this. So you can find that required unknown. How do we do that? Speed is distance by time. They will use mnemonic. Time is distance by speed. Distance is speed. So speed is distance by. There's one thing suffices. Given in you two, you can find the other. Speed is distance by time. So, but no, same speed distance time problem when it shows up in ultrasound, when it shows up in MRI, phase decoherence, dephasing, rephasing, there is a confusion. Revolutions, radians, precision, refraction, rarefaction, and all that. So, anyway, so be very convenient specifically with speed distance time. Uh, Ratio, proportion, and all that is fine. You know, time, work, and play. Time, work, and play. The best exercise you can do is to see what is a good time management strategy. Some of these things. Probability expectation. What is to guess or not to guess, randomly guess or not randomly guess. You can do some gate examination specific exercises and get a very good understanding of that. But speed, distance, and time problems, I suggest you solve different types of speed, distance, time problems, including relative velocity problems, train problem, pole problem, bus problem, train bus problem, bridge problem. Uh, do all of that because many of the core subjects, ultrasound, medical imaging, MRI, they rely on ideas here. It's a very good idea to be very familiar and fluent. Familiarity is one thing. Sir, I sit in a car and travel every day for 2 hours, sit in a bus, college bus. Familiarity is another thing, but you should be fluent. So practice as many questions specifically on speed, distance, time problems in the whole of quantitative aptitude. This is 10 plus V into the time 2.25 plus V into 1.25. That is a total distance traveled. I wrote it from the figure, the blue and the green. You may not have the luxury of using different colors on the rough note in your examination, but you do have the luxury, but at least for explanation, I think this is very useful. Can we solve for V? Can we tell me what V is? And can we say what the answer is? The answer is supposed to be, let's give some colors. The answer is V times 1.25. So 233 is 22.5 plus 2.25V plus 1.25V, that is 3.5V. Get calculator. Distance is that, can we also get V? 235 minus 22.5 plus 212.5 divided by 3.5. So finally, get calculator 60.7. That into 1.25. 75.89. I'm getting 75.89. Options are 66.6, 82.2, 116.5, 75 point. There is some decimal mistake. First decimal, second decimal, first pre-decimal mistake, and that. Yeah, you could do it. You can eliminate V. There are different ways to do it. Finding V, the way I wrote it down, V is the only unknown. But you can equally write the distance this traveled is 1.25 V. So the answer is X. And the speed of T is then 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus X, right? 10 plus X by 1.25. Yeah, you can do that. So that is just giving uh, the unknown, whatever unknown, no? That shows up in the way you simplify it. Perfectly fine. So at this stage, of course, let's not forget to answer 75.2. And this is a good place to stop. What do I left? Yeah, the speaker RST, I'll push it to next week. So we'll cover the rest in part 2. And one thing I try to highlight, sense, right? Common, uncommon, spider, eagle, multiverse, universe, whatever sense, make use of that. Aptitude, this is General aptitude. This is make use of general sense. Sorry, it's not common sense. Make use of general sense. During actually the semiconductor revolution, they were trying to hire people, hire engineers and all that, but they didn't know what should be there in their CV. That is like what kind of skills would actually make a good employer in semiconductor to design, say, the digital circuits, analog circuits, and all of that was not well known. The courses were not there at the initial days of semiconductor industry booming. At that time, what quickly everyone realizes those who are good at aptitude, they are all good at doing this, coming up with circuits, designing circuits, and all of that. That is how general aptitude kind of got prominent. But it is suggestive of your general sense. You should find ways to activate them. It is already there. This is general sense. You should find ways to activate them. Hopefully, whatever I did today should have helped you recognize, if not activate, some of your general senses. That was the objective. The objective was not to have a PYQ discussion, solve all these questions, or you know PYQs and all that. The objective is to actually show you that you can solve all of this using some very general sense. I hope that got evident. You recognized figments and pigments of your own general sense that you are not familiar till today. If that was the case, I'll be a very, very happy teacher. I can go back and sleep very happily. I hope that was the case, but we'll continue this. So we kind of made a very boring aptitude discussion. Reasonably interesting, I suppose. With that, let's stop here. If there aren't any other questions,